I heard about some shoulder injury on the other side of his throwing side. Did that affect his throwing? How serious is that? Because I didn't know anything about that until I heard it earlier today.
Well, yeah, it was just going to be a routine procedure, and I think he came out and talked about it. It's on his left shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder. So I think it was just a big advantage to be able to get that thing taken care of now, and then he'll be back in a couple months. So he'll be back with plenty of time before the season starts, plenty of time before camp starts. Just made a lot of sense to have it done now. And I got a lot of questions about, he could have not thrown if he wanted to. Why did he do that? And Colin, this is going to be one of your favorite quarterbacks, because his automatic response to any of this is, why wouldn't I throw? Just give me a ball and I got nothing to hide. And I know you love my brother Carson, and Carson was really the last number one pick to play in the Senior Bowl and throw and run at the combine. And this kid's cut from a similar cloth in terms of, doesn't matter if I've only been throwing for a couple of weeks and the footwork's new and all this stuff. Just give me a ball and I got nothing to hide. I'll show him what I got.
One of the things that really jumped out to me with Justin Herbert early, he is what I would call an easy thrower. It's just mechanically, it looks easy. There's very little stress to Justin Herbert. It looks like Nerf ball, Thanksgiving Day football in the backyard. Is Trevor an easy thrower? Give me his mechanics. What do you see?
Well, yeah, I think all these guys entering the league, efficiency is the number one thing in terms of their stroke, and really trying to eliminate unnecessary movement. So that's a big focus for him, as it is for all of these guys transitioning from college to pro. But he doesn't have to grit his teeth and grunt to push the ball down the field. He's all of 6'6". He's not 6'6" in the program. He's 6'6", when they legitimately measure him. And obviously he showed how mobile he is and some of these big runs that he's made over his incredible college career. But he is, I think, effortless, whether it's throwing, whether it's moving, or whether it's having a big, difficult conversation. This is a guy who's just appears to be effortless in every phase of his life.
Yeah, in terms of, it's funny about we said after the Rose Bowl, we kept saying on the air, we couldn't quite figure out the criticisms of Herbert. It was like smart, big, strong, mobile, big arm. People will now nitpick. I remember when Andrew Luck came out, people were saying, his arm's okay. And my basis was, it's good enough to make the throws. It may not be a howitzer. Is Lawrence have an average arm, a good arm? It doesn't look like it's Justin Herbert maybe, but where does it rank? Where do you see it?
Well, I think you got to look at it in terms of at this point in their career, because if we base it off of comparing somebody to Aaron Rodgers, a kid going through draft training, if you're going to compare him to Aaron Rodgers, then you need to compare him to Aaron Rodgers when he was coming out of Cal. And Aaron is obviously a guy who has grown a lot in how he delivers the football. It's gotten quicker, it's gotten stronger, and he's been able to make every throw. And so if you compare him to guys when they're coming out, I think he is upper echelon. But at the same time, this is a guy who's going to get a lot better. He's going to improve. He's going to get more efficient, as a lot of these guys do. And so I think I don't know that we're going to say he's got the strongest arm we've ever seen all time, but I certainly don't think you need that. And, we look at some of the guys who have transitioned, guys like Joe Burrow. You look at who's in the Hall of Fame. That list does not go from strongest arms all time to weakest arms all time. It goes from guys who can play the position. So Trevor can make every throw, but just seeing the way he buys in and works and wants to get better, the sky's the limit because of his athleticism and because his attention to detail and how much he wants to improve.
I want to talk about two quarterbacks that had, whether it's confidence or coaching, regressed. Carson Wentz. When you look at it, is it a confidence thing, a scheme thing, a mechanic thing? What would concern you if you're the Bears or you're the Colts? Is there anything you look at as a technician and go, okay, that worries me a little with Wentz?
Well, I think we've seen some regression across the board in decision-making and mechanics with Carson Wentz, but at the same time, you have to put it in context. When he was playing at an MVP level, the year when Nick Foles finished off the season as a Super Bowl champion, what we saw was one of the best young players in this league, and he was rewarded with a contract. But as soon as Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, it almost didn't feel like it was really Carson's team. And then 2 years later, they draft a quarterback in the second round in Jalen Hurts, and the effect that has on that locker room. And so any concerns I have with evaluating Carson Wentz, I think they can get all cast aside if he does move to a new spot, if he comes in and he's the starter and there's nothing to worry about, because he's been almost like spending your dad's money in college. like your parents give you money but it's not really yours. So you kind of spend it how you want. I almost feel like that's what the scenario has been with him in these locker rooms where, yeah, he's the starter and he's the man, but we just won a Super Bowl with somebody else. And now he left. And then we just add this young guy in the locker room that everybody loves and who played well. And so I just think it's almost been, whose team is this? I certainly I'm not speaking on behalf of him, but that's what it feels like from the outside looking in, and a change of scenery and an opportunity to get his own locker room. And I think that we're going to see the Carson Wentz that we saw 3 years ago.
All right, Sam Darnold, who we both love, but he regressed this year. What do you see anything that he's a little reckless for me, and I'm not sure you can coach that out of people. Sometimes he looks like a linebacker playing quarterback, and I want to go, Sam, slide, go to the beach, practice in Oceanside. Is there anything you see with Darnold that concerns you going forward?
No, because, and I'm biased, you and I both love Sam. We've loved him since college, but he's had multiple coordinators. He's had arguably the worst personnel around him. And what I see in him is a guy where, there's been young quarterbacks who get put in tough spots, and it's hard for them to really finish off the year. And I've seen a couple. But Sam Darnold 2 years ago, they had that historic year on offense where they were terrible. The seeing ghost debacle on Monday night. He finished that season off going 6-2 in his last 8 games. This last year, something similar. They almost finished the season 3-0. He won 2 of those last 3 games. And so this is a guy who fights until the very end. Physically, there's not a big gap between those two guys right there physically. Josh has an incredible arm, but Sam, his ability to move, escape, find people, throw with people open, it's definitely up there. And I think part of me wants him to, finish what he started, because I know he wants that. And at the same time, you look around the league and you see other people who have it built around them a little differently. And so I think there's got to be appeal in both. And I'm not speaking on behalf of him, but there's got to be appeal in both. But he's a guy where if this new staff decides to roll with him, I think they're going to see right away, this is the player that we all thought he was. And you can build around him if you do it the right way. And I also think that if another team were to go ahead and make a move and bring them in, they'd have a young player who, only thing that's changed since he got drafted is he's dealt with adversity, real adversity now, which is just going to make him an even tougher competitor.
Finally, Joe Burrow coming off ACL. When can he work again? When can he go with Jordan Palmer and throw? When would you be okay with that?
Well, we're going with what the Bengals want to do, but I think this offseason, he's already ahead of schedule, which, as most of these guys are, right? They lay out a term when they want you back, and the guys who take complete control of their rehab, like Joe, where they're handling nutrition, rest, all the stuff, not just grinding it out at rehab. But he's going to end up probably, I would assume, ahead of where everyone thought he'd be, just like my brother was when he tore his ACL twice. He ended up coming back, ahead of schedule. But I think Joe will be he'll be ready to rock and moving around, and we'll go at the pace that his team around him wants him to go at.
Quarterback coach, you got anything you need to promote here that our audience needs to know, buddy?
Yeah, your new podcast network. Congrats.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, whatever. Well, hopefully I'll continue to get healthier, and we'll connect soon here on these chairs or this couch. Good seeing you.
Let's do it. Thanks, Colin.
All right.